A woman's worth is not given, it is built, one brave choice at a time. But so many of us grow up believing that value is something the world hands to us, like a badge or a compliment or a title. But your value is not in how others see you. It's in how you see yourself, especially when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when the world doubts your shine. And if you're listening to me right now, maybe you're in that season, a season of questioning, a season of becoming, a season where you're ready to step out of who you were and rise into the woman you were always meant to be. So let's walk together. 7 steps, 7 truths, the real path to becoming a high-value woman. There is a moment in every woman's life when she realizes that her identity is not something she can hand over, lend out, negotiate, or let others rewrite for her. It is hers. A sacred flame, something breathed into her spirit long before the world had an opinion about who she should be. But for most of us, we don't learn this truth in a classroom or from a book. We learn it in moments of breaking, moments when the world tries to tell us who we're allowed to be and who we are not. And that is exactly where the journey truly begins. Because here's the truth, people will always try to define you. They will try to shrink you into their own understanding. They will take your ambition and call it arrogance. They will take your kindness and call it weakness. They will take your silence and call it confusion. And sometimes the loudest voice that tries to redefine you is the one inside your own head. The voice born from comparison, from insecurity, from old wounds. And it whispers things that feel convincing when you're tired, overwhelmed, or uncertain. But the high-value woman I'm asking you to become does something different. She catches that voice the moment it rises. She protects herself from it. She treats her identity like something holy, because it is. She knows she cannot live powerfully if she keeps picking up the labels other people throw at her feet. She knows she cannot rise if her sense of self keeps bending every time someone disapproves or misunderstands. There was a season in my life when I thought my worth depended on applause, on getting it right, on proving myself again and again. And each time the world clapped for me, I thought, this must be my value. But applause is a fragile foundation. It shifts, it fades, it belongs to others, not to you. So when it disappears, it leaves you questioning who you really are. That's when I learned your identity cannot sit in the hands of a crowd. It must sit in the hands of God and in the quiet conviction of your own soul. A sacred flame doesn't announce itself. It doesn't scream for validation. It glows steadily, patiently, consistently. And that's what identity is. A glow you carry even when Ife places you in the dark. Even when people misjudge you, even when circumstances shake you. Because the value of a flame is not in its noise, it's in its endurance. So how do you guard that flame? You protect your inner world more fiercely than your outer one. You notice who drains you and who honors you. You become selective about who gets access to your heart, your time, your peace, not because you're difficult, but because you're intentional. Because you know that not everyone is meant to sit in the front row of your life. Because you understand that the people who truly see you, who truly value you, are the ones who don't require you to shrink. When a woman knows who she is, you feel it when she walks into a room. She carries a quiet confidence, not loud or flashy, but steady. She doesn't need to announce her worth because she lives it. She doesn't compete because she is rooted. She doesn't imitate because she is original. She doesn't chase because she is aligned. Her identity becomes her gravity. She attracts what resonates with her truth and repels what doesn't. And this is where faith enters. Because identity without faith becomes identity built on sand. But identity built with God as the foundation becomes unshakable. You begin to understand that your purpose was crafted with intention. That you are not random. That your gifts, your voice, your heart, they were designed. And when you know that, truly know it, you stop asking the world for permission to be who you already are. A woman who guards her identity becomes unstoppable. She becomes whole. She becomes clear. And clarity is rare. Clarity is powerful. Clarity makes you magnetic. You stop explaining yourself. You stop apologizing for your fire. You stop hiding your brilliance to make others comfortable. You realize that authenticity is not only your truth, it is your armor. So today ask yourself, who am I when no one is clapping? Who am I when everything goes quiet? That is your identity. That is the woman the world needs. That is the woman only you can protect. And once you guard that sacred flame, nothing and no one will ever be able to dim you again. There comes a point in a woman's life when she realizes that her standards are not just preferences. They are not demands. They are not walls to keep the world out. They are the signature she leaves on her own life. They are the boundaries that shape her peace, her relationships, her energy, her future. Every time you decide what you will accept and what you will no longer tolerate, you're not being difficult, you're defining your worth in real time. For the longest time, many of us mistake low standards for kindness. We think saying yes when our heart screams no makes us more lovable. We think staying quiet when someone crosses a line makes us strong. We think accepting breadcrumbs is humility. But shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's comfort is not humility. It is self-abandonment. And a high-value woman knows she can never rise while she is betraying herself at the same time. I had to learn that my standards were not set to impress anyone. They were set to protect the woman I was becoming. There were seasons when I said yes too quickly because I didn't want to disappoint. Seasons when I made myself smaller because I didn't want to seem too much. Seasons when I let people stay in my life simply because I didn't want to appear unkind. But peace built on people-pleasing always collapses. Eventually you realize that every yes you offered without alignment was a quiet no to yourself. A woman's standards are her quiet declaration of what she believes she deserves. And when those standards rise, everything in her life rises with them. The quality of her friendships sharpens. The integrity of her relationships strengthens. The energy in her circle becomes cleaner, kinder, more intentional. The world around her adjusts because it must. People treat you according to the rules you allow. And when your rules change, the ones who truly value you adjust, while the ones who never saw your worth simply fall away. And that is a blessing. Every exit is clarity. But let me say this. High standards are not about perfection. They are about alignment. They are about saying, I honor myself enough to choose what adds to my life, not what drains it. They are about refusing generously without becoming depleted. She knows how to forgive without reopening the door to chaos. That is elegance. That is maturity. That is wisdom earned through heartbreak, healing, and reawakening. And the beauty of this journey is that each time you honor your standards, your confidence grows. Your voice becomes clearer. Your intuition becomes louder. You stop tolerating half effort, half love, half respect, half presence. You learn that the right people will rise to meet your standards. Not because you demand it, but because they recognize your value and want to be worthy of your space. So let this be your truth. Your standards are not obstacles. They are invitations. Invitations to a better life, better relationships, deeper peace and higher purpose. They are your signature. They are your truth. And when you honor them, you honor the powerful woman you were always meant to be. There is a moment in every woman's journey when she realizes that the most profound act of love she can offer herself is discipline. Not the harsh, cold discipline that feels like punishment, but the sacred, intentional discipline that whispers, I care about the woman I'm becoming. The world often teaches us that discipline is restrictive, that it confines you, that it steals your freedom. But discipline is not a cage. It is the key that unlocks your highest potential. It is the quiet, daily commitment to honor your future self more than your momentary comfort. Think about the moments in your life when you truly grew. They didn't come from ease. They didn't come from staying in the familiar. They came from choosing the harder road, the one that demanded something from you, waking up earlier than your excuses, doing the work even when motivation disappeared, saying no to habits that kept you small, saying yes to routines that looked boring but built your foundation brick by brick. That is discipline, not glamorous, not loud, but life-changing. There was a time in my life when I relied on inspiration to carry me. I waited for the perfect mood, the perfect timing, the perfect spark. But inspiration is a visitor. It comes and goes. Discipline is a companion. It stays. It walks with you through days of doubt, days of exhaustion, days when the world feels heavy. Discipline whispers, "I know you're tired, but we're moving anyway." And that whisper becomes the turning point. That whisper becomes the difference between the woman who dreams and the woman who becomes. Discipline is choosing your future over your feelings. Your feelings want comfort. Your future wants commitment. Your feelings want the easy option. Your future wants the meaningful one. And when you choose discipline, you're choosing the version of yourself who will look back one day and say, "Thank God I didn't give up on me." But discipline is more than waking up early or sticking to goals. It is emotional. It is spiritual. It is deeply personal. Discipline is choosing healing even when it hurts to face your own wounds. Discipline is walking away from relationships that drain you, even when loneliness tries to pull you back. Discipline is saying, "I deserve better," and then proving it with your actions. Discipline is refusing to betray yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. There is a strength that grows in a woman who practices discipline, and it is different from any other strength. It is not loud or aggressive. It is steady. It is grounded. It is the kind of strength that makes you walk differently, not because you're trying to show the world your power, but because you can feel it in your bones. You know you are becoming someone you can trust. And here's something many never realize. Discipline is love. It is love in action. When you nourish your body, when you prioritize your mental peace, when you commit to your spiritual growth, when you push yourself toward your purpose, that is love. Love for the woman you are right now, and love for the woman you are still becoming. Every discipline choice is a promise you keep to your future. A promise that says, "I am worth the effort." But let me be honest, discipline will not always feel good. You will have days when you question yourself, days when you crave the old patterns, days when your mind tells you, "Just skip it, no one will know." But you will know, you will always know, and the moment you become a woman who refuses to break promises to herself, everything changes. Your confidence grows, your trust in yourself grows, your sense of direction becomes clearer. You become unstoppable because you become consistent, and consistency beats intensity every time. It's not the big dramatic moments that transform your life. It's the small, quiet decisions you make daily. 5 minutes of effort on a day you wanted to quit. One healthier choice. One mindful breath. One honest conversation with yourself. Those little decisions stack. They multiply. They build a foundation so strong that even the storms of life cannot shake it. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about intention. It's about choosing progress over excuses. It's about showing up even imperfectly. It's about doing the best you can with what you have and trusting that God will meet you in the effort. When you move with discipline, you invite divine alignment. You open the door for blessings that require a prepared version of you, not a passive one. So let this truth settle into your spirit. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the birthplace of it. When you discipline your habits, your emotions, your choices, your energy, you create space for the woman you are meant to be. You rise into a version of yourself that is clear, powerful, grounded, intentional, a woman who does not wait for life to happen, but actively participates in shaping it. That is the quiet beauty of discipline. It is self-love wearing armor. And when you embrace it, your entire life begins to shift toward purpose, strength, and undeniable value. There comes a time in a woman's life when she finally understands that her heart is not something to hand out carelessly. It is not a souvenir for people who show up empty-handed. It is not a placeholder for those who only love her in their convenience. Your heart is a gift, a rare, tender, powerful gift, And when you realize its value, you stop giving it away to people who never earned the right to hold it. I wish someone had told us sooner that attention is not the same as intention. That someone showing up today doesn't mean they'll stay tomorrow. Those sweet words without consistency are just noise. That being wanted is not the same as being valued. We grow up believing that love means effort, sacrifice, patience, and it does, but not one-sided effort, not self-erasing sacrifice, not patience that drains your soul. A high-value woman learns this truth not in fairy tales, but in heartbreak. In the moments when she finally sees that love should never cost her peace. There was a chapter in my life where I believed that if I just loved harder, gave more, tolerated more, held on a little tighter, things would change. But love cannot survive in places where respect is missing. Love cannot grow in soil watered with excuses. Love cannot breathe when you are always the one rescuing, repairing, and reaching. You cannot teach someone how to treat you. They learn by watching how you treat yourself. And when you undervalue your heart, others will follow your example. So listen closely. Your heart is not desperate. Your heart is discerning. It knows when something is wrong long before your mind is willing to admit it. But because we crave connection, we often silence that inner voice. We rewrite red flags into misunderstandings. We turn bare minimum into at least they're trying. We accept inconsistency because we fear starting over. But starting over is never the danger. Staying in the wrong places. But a woman who understands her value does something radical. She stops begging for love and starts receiving it. She stops chasing potential and starts honoring patterns. She stops waiting for someone to choose her and chooses herself instead. And something incredible happens when she does. Her life begins to attract people who love with intention, not impulse. But it takes courage. It takes courage to walk away from someone you love when they cannot meet you where you are. It takes courage to say, I deserve more. Even when your heart aches, it takes courage to share your softness only with those who handle it gently. And yes, it takes courage to keep your heart open after it's been hurt. But a high-value woman doesn't close her heart. She protects it. She doesn't build walls, she builds wisdom. Your heart is a compass. It's not meant to be given away. It's meant to guide you. And it guides you toward people who speak truth, who show up, who honor commitment, who understand the weight of your presence. When you protect your heart, you stop confusing intensity with intimacy. You stop mistaking chaos for passion. You stop allowing emotional crumbs to feel like full meals. And here's the part many forget: protecting your heart is not about shutting people out. It's about letting the right ones in. The ones whose actions match their words. The ones who don't make you question your sanity. The ones who love in a way that feels like peace, not pursuit. The ones who see your strength and don't try to diminish it because it intimidates them. The ones who hold your soul like something fragile and sacred because they understand how rare it is. And above all, protecting your heart is about loving yourself enough to match what you want with what you allow. It is about deciding that you will no longer participate in relationships that bruise your spirit. It is about choosing clarity over confusion, alignment over attachment, truth over fantasy, respect over romance. Healthy love doesn't require you to lose yourself. Real love expands you, steadies you, strengthens you. Let this truth settle deeply within you. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are not asking for the impossible. You are simply protecting a heart that was never meant to be handled casually. You are saving space for someone who will meet you with the same depth, the same sincerity, the same devotion you offer. Your heart is a gift. Guard it. Honor it. Give it only where it can grow. And when the right love comes, steady, grounded, intentional, you'll be grateful you waited for what was meant for you, not what you tried to force. There comes a moment in every woman's journey when she realizes that fear cannot be her guide anymore. Fear keeps you small. Fear keeps you silent. Fear keeps you walking in circles around the life you were meant to live. And for a long time, many of us mistake fear for wisdom, as if playing it safe is the same as being smart. But there is a difference. Wisdom protects your purpose. Fear prevents it. Wisdom guides you forward. Fear holds you back. And when you finally decide to walk with God instead of walking with fear, everything in your life begins to shift. I've had seasons where I let fear take the lead. Fear of failure, fear of heartbreak, fear of disappointing the people who believed in me, fear of disappointing the people who didn't, fear of not being enough, fear of being too much. Fear has a way of disguising itself. It looks like hesitation, overthinking, self-doubt, endless what-ifs. Fear whispers in your ear until you start believing its lies. Stay where you are. Don't risk it. Do. Cubation. It's alignment. It's God preparing you for what you asked for. The high-value woman learns to rest her anxious thoughts and trust that what is meant to be will find its way on its own time. And here's the part people often misunderstand. Walking with God doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. It gives you the courage to endure what would have broken you before. It gives you the clarity to walk away from what is not aligned. It gives you the resilience to rise after every fall. When you walk with God, you never walk alone, and that truth becomes your anchor. So let this settle deeply in your spirit. You were never meant to journey through life guided by fear. You were meant to rise guided by faith. And when you surrender your steps to the one who knows the path, your life begins to unfold in ways you never imagined. Doors open that were once locked. Opportunities appear that once felt impossible. Peace grows where worry used to live. And you begin to glow from a place deeper than confidence, from a place of divine alignment. That is the power of walking with God instead of walking with fear. There is a moment in every woman's life when she realizes that comfort, while warm and familiar, is not where her destiny lives. Comfort feels safe, like a soft blanket on a cold night. It calms the nerves. It makes life predictable. But the woman you are becoming, the powerful, high-value, deeply aligned version of you, cannot be built inside the walls of comfort. Growth happens in the stretch. Growth happens in the uncertainty. Growth happens in the moments when your heart is pounding, but your feet still move forward. I've lived enough life to know this. Every breakthrough I ever had began with discomfort. Every blessing I ever received required me to step into something unknown. Every transformation started with a choice that scared me. We want change, but we don't want the discomfort required to make that change real. We want a new life, but we want to stay the same. We want a bigger future, but we want to keep the same habits. And it just doesn't work that way. You cannot rise without releasing the version of you that was built for survival rather than purpose. Becoming a high-value woman means choosing growth even when it costs your comfort. It means consciously stepping into spaces where you don't have all the answers. It means admitting that you're capable of more, even when your mind whispers old doubts. Growth doesn't feel graceful at first. It feels messy. It feels intimidating. It feels like standing on the edge of a cliff, knowing you have wings but still afraid of the wind. But those wings were not given to you to stay folded. There was a season when I stayed in the familiar for too long. Not because it was right for me, but because it was easy. Because it didn't require courage. Because it didn't challenge my identity. But comfort can become a cage. You get so used to the predictability that you forget you're no longer growing. You forget that life is not meant to be tolerated. It is meant to be transformed. And transformation always asks something of you. It asks you to let go. Let go of old beliefs, old relationships, old fears, old versions of yourself that no longer serve your future. But growth pulls you into a higher standard of living. It stretches your mind. It stretches your heart. It stretches your discipline. You start seeing things differently. You stop settling. You stop shrinking. You stop accepting less than you deserve, because growth teaches you that your life expands in proportion to your courage. Every time you choose the hard thing, the honest conversation, the uncomfortable decision, the new path, you build a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of yourself. And let's be clear, choosing growth doesn't mean choosing chaos. It means choosing evolution with intention. It means pushing yourself in the areas where you've been playing small. It means training your mind to see challenges not as punishments, but as invitations. Invitations to rise, to elevate, to learn, to transform. A challenge is not a threat to a high-value woman. It is a signal that her next level is calling. Growth asks you to risk being misunderstood, to outgrow circles that no longer align with your spirit, to step out of conversations that keep you small, to walk away from dynamics where your presence is taken for granted. Growth requires shedding identities built in insecurity, shedding labels placed on you by people who never saw your potential, shedding expectations that were never yours to carry, shedding patterns that feel comforting but keep you repeating the same cycles. But here's the miracle: every time you choose growth, the world around you begins to shift. You start drawing in opportunities that match your new energy. You attract relationships that reflect your evolution. You meet people who speak your new language, the language of elevation, alignment, purpose, and maturity. You begin to feel alive again, not because life becomes perfect, but because you are no longer betraying your potential. A woman who chooses growth becomes magnetic. She radiates strength, not because she has everything figured out, but because she is not afraid to evolve. She embraces challenges with grace. She welcomes lessons with humility. She trusts the journey, even when the path is unclear. She understands that her life is not meant to be stagnant. It is meant to be a masterpiece in progress. And growth in its purest form is a spiritual act. Every time you step into discomfort, you are saying, I trust that God has something greater for me. You release control, you surrender fear, you allow faith to guide you into rooms your old self could never enter. That is divine alignment. That is the purpose in motion. So let this truth ground you. Comfort keeps you where you are, but growth takes you where you're meant to be. And every time you choose growth over the familiar, you become more of the woman you were created to become. That is the path. That is the evolution. That is the rise.br. There comes a powerful turning point in a woman's life when she realizes that serving others is beautiful, but losing herself in the process is not. For too long, many of us were taught that being a good woman means giving endlessly, giving until it hurts, giving until there is nothing left. But there is a difference between service that comes from overflow and service that are you with balance, not dependency. And the people who only loved you for what you gave them, not for who you are, will fall away. That is clarity. That is protection. That is grace. Serving with strength means being rooted in your purpose, rooted in your identity, rooted in your faith. It means choosing relationships that replenish you, opportunities that elevate you, environments that nourish you. It means understanding that your life force is sacred. Your peace is sacred. Your emotional well-being is sacred. And anything that regularly violates your spirit is not yours to carry. But this shift doesn't happen overnight. It happens in small, courageous moments. The moment you say, I can't do that today without apologizing. The moment you realize you are not responsible for fixing what you didn't break. The moment you stop tolerating one-sided relationships. The moment you recognize that someone else's happiness is not your job. The moment you begin honoring your own heart as deeply as you honor the hearts of others. Serving from strength means giving after you've poured into yourself. It means showing up without losing yourself. It means loving deeply without losing your boundaries. It means understanding that you were never meant to carry the world on your back. You were meant to carry your purpose in your hands.br. And this is where faith enters so beautifully. Because when you trust that you are held by something greater than yourself, you stop trying to hold everyone else together. You let go. You breathe. You surrender what is not yours. You give what you can and you trust God with the rest. You understand that you are not the savior. You are the vessel. And vessels must stay full to function. A woman who serves from a place of strength radiates differently. Her presence feels grounded, her energy feels steady, her boundaries feel natural, not harsh. She becomes a source of light, not because she burns herself out, but because she tends to her fire. She glows from alignment, from balance, from intentional giving. Her love becomes more powerful because it is no longer draining her, it is flowing through her. So let this truth live in your heart. You were never meant to disappear to prove your goodness. You were never meant to shrink to make others more comfortable. You were never meant to give until you are empty. You were meant to serve from a place of fullness, purpose, grace, and divine strength. When you honor yourself, everything you give becomes more meaningful, more authentic, more powerful. And the world receives a version of you that is whole, not wounded, not exhausted, not diminished, but whole. And before you go, remember this. But you were never created to live a small, dim, shrinking version of your life. You were made with intention.dr, with purpose.dr, with a light that no storm can extinguish and no person can replace.br. You've walked through lessons that tried to break you, and yet you're still here. You've survived chapters that were meant to silence you, and yet your voice is rising. You've carried burdens that would have crushed a weaker soul, and yet your spirit still shines.br. So stand firm.br, stand whole. Stand in the truth of who you are becoming. Because here is the promise you can build your life on. When God is guiding your steps, nothing meant for you will ever miss you. BR, and nothing that's not meant for you will ever be able to stay. BR, walk with courage, walk with clarity, walk with faith that the next door will open the moment you're ready to step through it. Don't wait for the perfect moment.br. Don't wait for permission.br. Don't wait for the world to understand your calling.br. Start now, rise now, dopa, become now, and trust this with your whole heart. But the woman you are becoming is worth every sacrifice, every prayer, every step of faith. BR, and God has already prepared a life worthy of her. BR, Dod, Bar, shine. Begin your next chapter unapologetically.